Hello, and welcome to Rocket Fuel, your daily update of everything that's happening in the Rocket Pool community. My name is Wack, today is October 15th, and today's episode is a very exciting one because we are going to be talking NodeSet, and that is because they are launching today. So I'll cover a whole lot of details about that. On the Rocket Pool side, we have amazing news too. We have a date for the Saturn 0 contracts to change, and we've got a new version of SmartNode and a whole lot of other stuff. So let's get started on this really exciting episode.
10, 9, ignition sequence start, 6.
Okay, so we're going to start here on the Rocket Pool Discord, and here I had recorded a special episode of Rocket Fuel with Rhett, and I started teasing it basically right after I recorded it. So I said, I just recorded a special Rocket Fuel episode where I might or might not have the launch date of Constellation coming very soon. And Mike says, please leak now. Lee said Saturn Zero could be classed as very soon in the crypto space. And Halulu said, did Rhett spill the beans? If the contract is deployed, does that mean I can already mint to XR ETH? There's just no front end yet. And then I replied to Lee saying, like, very, very soon. And I replied to Halulu saying, yes, Rhett did spill the beans. And then I just replied with ellipses to the contract deployed. And then Patches says it's permissionless. And I replied by saying, someone you know might have done some minting. And Lee said, when does the special episode release? And I said, I'm processing it right now. So then Halula went digging in the contracts. He says, this is their directory and this is their RPL vault that has 40 RPL in it. And he said, whack, minting 2000 XRPL yesterday. So this was actually on Sunday. I guess I can tell the story now. I jumped onto a call with Nick and Wanda and Joe, and we were talking about doing a test validator and getting it up and running and going through the steps for that. So yeah, I was the first person to use the Constellation contracts, and I was the first person in the whole community to mint XRPL. So I was super touched that they wanted me involved for that process, and I was super grateful that they reached out to me to get their official announcement out with the Rhett on the call. So that was really awesome. Nick was saying we have Halulu with too much time in his hands to poke around the contracts and find out what's going on. And then he said, there was also 10 XR ETH that was minted. And then he said the transaction. And he said, I don't know who that person is. And I said, I do know who that is. And then Halula found out that it was Nick because of his snapshot profile picture. So that was really funny. So yeah, that was a really exciting little time. And then of course during that I was also working on getting the episode released and getting it all edited and stuff. So once the episode was out, look, here's the episode. Let me show you all. So that is Rhett, who of course you all know is the founder of Gravitar, and that's me, and we're talking about Constellation. So some of the things that we talked about in this episode is, what is XR ETH? Why would you want to mint it? How much could you make with it? It's 100% staking rewards LST, so it should offer some of the best returns on the market for LSTs, which is really awesome. That's because they don't charge a commission on the staking rewards part, they charge a commission on the RETH commission part. So that's a really nice design that they have. So we talked about how they're incentivizing XRETH growth, how they are going to use XRPL rewards to pay towards some of those incentives. We talked about how much XRPL will be paying in commission. It'll be 35%. And we just were talking through some of the details of how it's all going to come together, what ideas they have for DeFi integrations for both tokens, what ideas they have for liquidity and all this kind of stuff. So it was a quick episode. We got straight to the details, and we just talked through the different ideas. One of the issues with the episode was the sound quality wasn't that great from my side. That's because my audio setup wasn't working, sadly. And we were having some technical difficulties with my audio setup, so my backup mic was just horrible. So I'm really sorry about that if you can't hear some of the things in the episode, but yeah, you should be able to hear me fine right now. But yeah, that all went really well, and it was really nice. And of course the key piece of information was that they said the release date was going to be October 15th, which is today. So here people started talking about it in the in the Rocket Pool Discord. Halulu said launch tomorrow because he skipped through the episode and found the the point where we talked about that. And I said, "Did you watch at 10 speed?" And then yeah, it's exciting. So Noshua said, "When is launch?" I said, "It's tomorrow," meaning today, October 15th. So very soon after that, the NodeSet guys put out their official announcement for it, saying, "Check out the most recent episode of Rocket Fuel from WAC, featuring Rhett of Gravatar discussing their public-facing instance of Constellation, launching Tuesday, October 15th." And then there's a link to the video. And then it said, hold on a second, you guys can't see some of this stuff. And then it said, learn more about XRETH and XRPL as well as Gravitas early adopter campaign, delete the deposit pool. So that's what they're calling it, saying TLDR is if you mint XRETH within the first 4 weeks of launch, and you'll get a share of the RPL that their protocol will collect. And that is if you hold the XRETH for 6 months. So they'll be checking with contracts. You'll be allowed to use it in DeFi in that time, but it has to stay in your wallet for 6 months from the end of the first month for you to be eligible for those rewards. And then they're going to say, we're thrilled to work with Gravitar team to bring Constellation to life. Come join us, Gravitar and the Rocket Pool team, on tomorrow's Rocket Pool community call at 5 p.m. Pacific time. So that will be taking place today at 8 p.m. Eastern time. So you can listen in on that, and the community will have a chance to ask questions and clear up any understandings that they might have of how it works or how it doesn't work. So the front ends on the Gravitas side is expected to launch today on Tuesday the 15th. However, the hyperdrive, with the latest version of hyperdrive with so I also teased it in the NodeSet Discord here with the launch date, and then Joe kind of clarified it, saying that the Gravitas side is going to be ready on the 15th, and then the hyperdrive will be ready on Wednesday, which is the 16th. So that means that they're building up some TVL, and as the TVL gets built up, then on Wednesday is when the first validators who have been approved will be able to start validating services for NodeSet, the NodeSet validators will be able to start validating for Constellation. So Kevster says that's crazy. First mini pools will only require 1 ETH as a scrub to make. Then after Saturn 0, it'll be 3.4 ETH. Says in the end, it doesn't matter since it's refunded, but the initial cost is still a barrier nonetheless. And I said, sadly, I know a few people who have reached out to me saying that they might not be able to participate because they don't have the ETH for it. And then Joe mentioned, he said, when Lenstellation. So I don't know if they're going to make any kind of lending protocol that will be built on top of that, but yeah. And it says, what kind of collateral does 3.4 ETH go for anyway? A soul or two. And then Nick says, if your firstborn. So yeah, that is and then we actually have some more information about this still. Hold on, my browser is being really slow. So here on Rocket Watch, the details for it were added for NodeSet. So their validator has been tagged, and now it's called NodeSet Constellation is their node, and all their validators are going to be under this node. So here it said NodeSet Constellation staked 1,106 RPL. That's worth 4.8 ETH. So it looks like they were starting one validator and they're going with 20% collateral on that right now. I guess it makes sense because they don't want to tweak the collateral too much. The collateral will have to go down by half for them to not get rewards in the first period. But of course, that is going away with Saturn 0 anyway. So it should be okay. And then here, Joe shared the details saying, showing what the constellation stats look like, and it says that they have one active mini pool now. So that was really, really great to see that their first mini pool that Joe and I were working on together on Sunday finally launched. And it's Nick's ETH that he used to mint XRETH, and it was my RPL that I used to mint XRPL. and that is now being run by Joe. So this is three people coming together to make a validator work, right? Which was the initial idea that NodeSet had for scaling Rocket Pool. They said that, look, to get a validator on Rocket Pool now, you need to have three things in one person. So that person has to be an ETH holder, that person has to be an RPL holder, and that person has to have some kind of technical skills to run a validator. However, with the technical skills, they could technically use all nodes, but that doesn't help, with decentralization that much. So the idea for NodeSet was to separate out those three features. So anyone can be the the ETH holder, anyone can be the RPL holder. They just deposit it into a pool, and then anyone can be a node operator, provided you go through their Sybil check, basically, and pass a few tests and the proof of humanity. And that's where we are now, right? So I was the RPL depositor, and Nick was the co-founder of NodeSet, was the ETH depositor, and Joe, he of course, who is a NodeSet employee, was able to run NodeSet validation number 1, which is absolutely awesome and really exciting. So congratulations to all three of us. And then we actually got some more information about NodeSet. So here, Rocket Doc said, so no mainnet release client yet, and what's going on. And Joe said that this is going to happen tomorrow, as in the 16th. And he said that we're doing the go, no go today based on the first validator. So as soon as the first validator comes online, everything's looking good, then they will do their go, no go based on that. So at the moment, it's looking okay. And we'll see how that plays out over the next few hours as it goes from pre-launch into staking, and maybe they'll test and exit as well, but I'm not sure. So they might want to go through the whole cycle, but I don't know for sure. But it looks like it's going to be good. So that's really exciting there. And then we actually got some docs that came out from the Gravita side. So this is docs.gravitaprotocol.com, and this is their Constellation docs. So here it has an overview. So it's Constellation's second layer staking protocol built on top of Rocket Pool, initially developed by NodeSet, and then it kind of explains what it is. So there's the problem there, to be maximally trustless, Rocket Pool requires node operators to post a bond for each validator. This restricts growth by constant supply of node operators. By requiring constant supply of node operators who can afford this bond, and leads to an uneven distributions of assets across nodes. So then they present it as a solution. Then they've got their campaign that they're kind of pushing, and this is campaign called Delete the Deposit Pool campaign, and they want that deposit pool to be emptied out. And what they're saying is that, we've watched the RETH deposit pool grow over the last few months, and frankly, we're sick and tired of it. It's time to deploy validators en masse, eliminate unproductive ETH, and grow the Rocket Pool ecosystem. Get the Rocket Pool, Ethereum staking, and DeFi communities excited for the launch of Constellation. We'll be distributing rewards to early XRETH holders and DeFi users. So they're saying XRETH is already one of the most decentralized and highest earning LSTs, as shown below. So if you look at the rewards for XRETH compared to RETH and STETH, actually, like, the trajectory follows steeper upwards. So they're saying that you'll be able to earn more rewards. So for example, if the base yield is 3.5%, XRETH charges 0 commission, so there's no APR drag, and that person will be getting 3.53%. So 1,000 ETH earnings will be 35.3 ETH. For our ETH, that actually number goes down because they charge a 14% commission. So your APR drag is minus 0.49%. And that person, would lose earnings of 4.94 ETH that, you pay as a commission for minting the token. And for STETH, that they'll lose 35%, which is 3.53 ETH compared to XRETH. So they kind of explain, what the two criteria are for being in the incentives program. So in the incentives program, you will get RPL as a reward for holding XRETH for 6 months. And if you mint it within the first 4 weeks, you got to hold it in your wallet or utilize XRETH across a number of DeFi venues that are coming soon. And I think that Gravita will be kind of monitoring those and kind of approving certain ones. But yeah, It says we require that you hold XRETH in one of the above venues for 6 months after the initial cutoff to claim rewards. You may shift your XRETH between the approved venues and will not risk losing rewards. We will update the program over time as we bring new integrations online. And you can learn about new integrations at the updates channel in the Gravita Discord. And then the rewards here says that you'll earn part of the RPL income that comes through to the protocol. And if you don't hold it for that time, like if you sell your XRETH before the 6 months, then you'll get 0 rewards. It's not like a sliding scale. It's either you get some or you don't get some. Some of the numbers here are wrong. I'll you can check these numbers yourself, like after they get updated, presumably later today. But I'll actually cover Nick talking about the numbers being wrong now. So let's have a look. Yeah, so here Chaos was talking about the incentives barriers and when they get hit, and the idea is that as the XRETH amount goes up, people will earn more. So Nick was saying those numbers are wrong, and the updated numbers would be today, but it starts at 25% of XRPL income to the protocol will go towards these incentives if between 0 and 10,000 XRETH are minted. If it's 10,000 to 25,000 XRETH, then there'll be more, and so on. But like I said, these numbers are wrong, so I don't want to dig into them too much right now. But I just thought I'd bring them to your attention there. And then, yeah, that's it. So NodeSet's launching today. If you are a node operator, you'll be able to start operating node operation tomorrow. We were talking about this actually in the Discord yesterday as well, about when the optimal time to launch validators will be. And it seems like the lower the gas is, the better the time is for you to launch a validator. As you launch one validator, it'll take 15 hours for that to go through Rocket Pool's scrub checks, at which point, once that is okay and goes through, then you can launch your second validator and so on. So you'll be able to launch a validator every 15 hours, provided the numbers in the protocol get moved up in accordance with that until you max out. Then you'll have to wait for the next round of validators to be made possible for those node operators. The thing to wait for, of course, is that gas is low, because as a node operator you'll be getting 7% commission of staking rewards. So it works out that if you have 15 validators assigned to you, that would be the equivalent of one solo staker's worth of rewards. However, of course, you'll be paying gas 15 times. So the best thing to do is wait for gas to be as cheap as possible. And that tends to happen in the late night in the US, or to certain times of the weekend as well. So it looks like NodeSet guys might be seeing uptake happening with the weekend, and as those times change, sadly, gas fees sadly for NodeSet and Constellation, for Gravita, it looks like that we're going back to a higher gas period. And that, of course, will be debilitating for their growth. So it might be that they have to incentivize gas fees somehow or something. I don't know what will happen, but it's not good, right? But there's still periods where gas is in the single digit GWEs, and once I start my validators after I go through testnet, that's kind of what I'll be waiting for. I'll be waiting for paying 4, 5, 6 GWE basically, ideally, but maybe up to 8, 9, or maybe 8 or 9, 7, 8, 9 GWE. As a if I'm not seeing those lower numbers hit, but that should be okay. It should be fun. Okay, let's move on to some Rocket Pool news now. So there's some exciting news happening here as well. So we had this rough idea of when the updates were going to happen for Saturn 0. Of course, we have to go through RPIP 63, which is the Houston hotfix. That has been sent to the ODAO now. It's waiting for 7 days before they can start voting on it. We expect that vote to happen quickly within a few days, and the team have targeted the contract upgrade to take place. And here, Langer says, Hululu said the contract upgrade happening at midnight UTC again. Langer says that's the best time for us. We have plenty of time to support, and it's become a tradition now. And Hululu said, Nick, so we have a time. And the plan, Hululu then said, I'm going to actually come back to that. So the time is for US East Coast, is October 27th at 8 p.m. That's Eastern time, and that's when the Houston hotfix will be pushed onto mainnet. Now, there's some nuance here, which is what Hululu asked. He says, is the plan to make the parameter changes right after the contract upgrade? And then Langus here says, usually we like to bed the contracts in before making other changes, but we've tested all the changes together anyway, so comfortable applying the changes within a few hours of the contract upgrade. So this is the next step, right? So what happens is the contract now is with the contract now is with the ODAO. It's in their sphere. That's the Oracle DAO for the protocol. They're the ones who approve the upgrades to go through, and there's a 7-day period for them to look at it, check it out, make sure it's all looking okay, and then they have a window of 7 days to vote on whether or not they want that to go through or not. That period hasn't started yet. That'll be starting on, I think, Sunday night, in another 5 days time. But there needs to be a majority, a simple majority of ODAO nodes that need to approve the change happening, and most of them, they're quite fast. So I expect that the upgrade will be approved within maybe 2 days, maybe 3 days of their voting being open. Of course, we'll be following that on Rocket Fuel every day. I'll let you know who has and who hasn't voted, so we can go and shame the different ODAO members. But as that happens, then, as soon as that is approved, then the team said that they will update the contract and make the RPP63 changes go live on that date that we just talked about. However, that upgrade won't happen with the new parameters to make ETH-only validators possible. That will have to be a separate change that the team will do using the Bootstrap, the Guardian wallet that we're trying to get rid of using the Houston on-chain voting. So this will be maybe one of the last uses of that, because of course the Houston hotfix will also fix the issues that we had with the on-chain voting. So, this will be the last fix. So here Hululu said, how long after it going live, the hotfix going live, should we expect the Bootstrap change? And Langus basically saying we'll comfortable changing within a few hours of the contract upgrade. So then Hululu and I kind of had a back and forth and saying that, for us, for Saturn 0, for what we are calling Saturn 0, that's the part that'll happen with the parameter change, because it'll change the RPL requirement down to 0, and that's the main change that's happening there. And I said, oh, that's when I thought the parameter change was happening. So Hululu said, I don't know, 5 minutes later, it's still technically within a few hours. And then I said that if we can get it all to happen on one call, that would be really exciting, because Nixo's involved representing ETHStaker and potentially hosting a live call, so we can go through the Saturn 0 upgrade on live on the call at the time. And Hululu said we need to convince Langus. So the idea that I had was, as long as it's online for and it's finalized, so that's 2 epochs, so that'll take between 12 and 18 minutes, around 15 minutes on average basically. And if we double that time, maybe 30 minutes could be okay. But what we'll do then is try to see how it's going to go on. We'll have to talk to Langus to get that time. It might be that the actual parameter change happens later on, towards the late evening on Sunday Eastern time, but which will be middle of the night for Europe. So we might not get that initial, flood of deposits that I'm hoping that we get. But that time for gas is absolutely perfect. Sunday night gas is actually quite cheap, and we'll have, I think, good 12-hour period after maybe not 12-hour period, depending on when the parameter change happens. We might have a 3 or 4 hour, 5-hour period where gas is quite good before it goes into Monday gas, which tends to get higher, but then Monday night should be better as well. So I think we'll see a nice influx of new validators coming online, and that might be solo staker migrations, that might be existing 16 ETH validators being bond reduced, that might be existing node operators who are adding more ETH, that might be new node operators who are coming online with Rocket Pool. So there's a whole lot of different kinds of people who could potentially start validators on that Sunday, and I'm quietly confident that the deposit pool, that is at around 39,000 ETH right now, will hopefully go down to 0 ETH at some point in the days after Saturn Zero launches. Hopefully it'll already be zero by the time Saturn Zero launches, because of Constellation having a huge influx of validators for their operators, and ETH and RPL into the Constellation system. But I'm fairly sure that by the time Saturn Zero goes live, and like maybe 24 to 48 hours after that, we'll be sitting on an empty deposit pool, and that is so exciting for me. Okay, here we got news from Fornax saying there's a new SmartNode version available, and this is version 1.13.10. This is a recommended upgrade with bug fixes, client updates, and minor new features. And here we've got Geth, Bisu, Reth, Teku, Nimbus, and Nethermind updates. On the client side, for the SmartNode, added MEV boost, support Haleshki. There's a tree gen cleanup in preparation for version 10, which is super exciting. And we fixed an issue to reduce the number of RPC calls for the ODAO nodes. Also, there's reth parameters for max inbound and outbound peers. Remove commands to import, export ETH1 data, and there's some details that you can go and check. Remove the redundant logic in the config, and one of the users, Xing Shanglu, I'm sorry if I mispronounced that, contributed towards that, so that's cool. And there's an out of bounds error while defending a proposal, and fix a hard-coded value in the stake RPL command. So I think that, yeah, so that's pretty cool. And then follow the usual guide to installing it. And with 1.13.9, that was skipped because there was an error that was found before releasing it, so there'll be no POAP for 1.13.9, but now we have 1.13.10. And then yeah, that's really cool. So as always with the new SmartNode version, we have the POAP that you can claim for updating it. So here Shifrin says post a screenshot showing your SmartNode's version to receive a POAP. Only screenshots posted before Thursday 17th at noon Eastern time will be eligible. And then Yorick Jenum says we already have POAP at home. Oh, let me see what POAP at home he has. Yeah, 1.13.10 POAP update from Iceland colleague. That's really cool. I like that a lot. That's a good one. But yeah, we already have POAP at home. So I think that one should actually be make that official POAP for 1.13.10. That'd actually be a really good one. Iceland calling says I retract my POAP and bow to Shifrin's POAP. But then other people started posting theirs. So here we have Lee and Ramana and Rasta Bob and Jenum. I didn't do mine yet, but I put a message in there to remind myself. Wo, Duki, and a whole bunch of others. So normally we have a good 30 or 40 people updating within the first couple of days just to get those POAPs. Of course, why else would we do it? Okay, so Joe's been hanging around and trading a little bit, and he has been shooting the breeze and kind of like sharing his updates from Hyperdrive, which kind of reminds me of the old times. I'm really happy that Joe's spending a little bit more time in trading. We still need story time hour, but I'm sure that'll come soon. But he actually found a new power, and he is now able to ban people from the Discord, and there's a command that he can call by putting W exclamation point B and the user ID of that person, and then they can ban that person. So that's actually pretty cool. It's a new power, so I guess if Joe wants to abuse that, he can kick people out. And then he says, feel the righteous fury of justice. Another new power that some people in the community have gotten is that rocket scientists can actually mute users, which is actually pretty cool. So they can do that for some minutes or longer as well. And it's pretty cool that these powers have been integrated into the Discord. I really need to get access to some of these powers for myself, but sadly I don't have them. But yeah, Joe's definitely not going to abuse these powers of his. Okay, I'm going to skip staking news today because we already covered all the Gravitas stuff, and we are going to skip Ethereum news today. But there was this one interaction on Twitter that I saw that I just had to follow, just had to share with you all because it was just brilliant. So Stephen here, who is the co-founder of Off-Chain Labs, are the ones that have launched Arbitrum. He got into a Twitter back and forth with Kyle Samani, who is the person you might have seen on the Bankless episode a few weeks ago, flooding Ethereum. He's a huge Solana cheerleader and basically shits on Ethereum every opportunity he gets, and the Ethereum roadmap and stuff. So anyway, let me read out these tweets to you and see if you all enjoy it as much as I did. Stephen says the genius of Arbitrum Orbit is that it doesn't force another token into your chain design. Imagine onboarding the world's largest corporations and telling them your decision will have to be approved by holders of this other token. And I think this is kind of like a low-key dig to OP, because to join the superchain, you have to be voted on by a superchain token holders, which are OP token holders, and they get a say basically in which chains do or don't get added to the superchain. Well, Stephen here is saying that, in Arbitrum, we don't do that. It says governance is freedom, never give it up. And Kyle replies saying, LMAO, you literally issued a 100% superfluous token. And Stephen replied by saying, sorry, we didn't let you into the Series A in the fundraising round. He said, I know you're still salty, but it's been years. Might be time to let it go. And Kyle replied by saying, huh? We never spoke. And then Stephen says, I know honesty in debates isn't your strong point, but dude, you were relentless and I have receipts. Here's one of many. And he shared a screenshot with Kyle saying, hey guys, just checking in. We want to roll up our sleeves and help, e.g. Alpha, who I think you're already talking to. So he's basically trying to get involved in the early days of Arbitrum and trying to become a seed investor. And then he replies by saying, I guess you got me. Doesn't really change anything in the thread above. Also, for your sake and Arbitrum's sake and my sake, it's obviously best for everyone that we didn't invest. So basically, he got called out on his lies and like total bullshit. And then he kind of like tried to deflect. And I replied by saying, in wasp bra, get me in the screenshot. And Ethereum Intern says, get me in too. So he basically got roasted. And the reason why I'm covering this is because there's a huge amount of FUD that is going around right now. And some of it's coming from the outside, which is quite easy to see. But I think more and more people are suspecting that some of that FUD is actually coming from people who are supposedly inside the Ethereum ecosystem. And I think what people are thinking is happening is that these people have got positions in the community or with different teams, and their positions and the comments they are making are not the kind of comments someone would make in good faith, potentially. They're the kind of comments that someone would make in bad faith, potentially. And that is, people are kind of becoming more suspicious of some of these criticisms that are coming. I'm not going to mention names or anything like that, because obviously I don't know what kind of, how genuine people are in making their comments. But the point is that this is really bad, and when they get caught out on it, it's just beautiful to see. So I thought I would cover that for you all. Okay, next we have this interesting chart that came out yesterday. So in yesterday's episode, I talked about how the Harris campaign, the Kamala Harris campaign, is going to be releasing some crypto policies, potentially in talking points this week, and how they've got like a short, campaign of on Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday in order to present some ideas for crypto and other things as well. And here, Alex Thorne, who's a head of research at Galaxy, put together this document. He says that I'm releasing our policy scorecard on the position of Biden, Harris, and Trump on major Bitcoin and crypto policies. This is bottom line. While Trump is undoubtedly more favorable for the industry, we're optimistic that Harris could be more supportive than Biden has been. So I'm not going to go through the whole thing. Like, you can check the tweet out in the description below. But if we have a look at this document, we can see that, they kind of chart the candidates against different criteria. For example, like Securities and Exchange Commission. So Biden is being red. For Harris and Waltz, this is slightly positive, and for Trump and Vance, this is extremely positive. So when you're comparing Harris versus Biden, then Harris is better, but when you're comparing Harris versus Trump, then Trump is better. With Treasury here as well, Harris is better than Biden, but Trump is better than Harris. With Treasury and sanctions, Harris is better than Biden, but Harris and Trump are probably the same. with IRS tax issues, Harris and Biden are likely the same, and Trump is likely to be better. On Bitcoin mining, Harris is better than Biden, but Trump is better than Harris. On self-custody, Harris and Biden are probably the same, but Trump is better. On banking regulations, Harris is better than Biden, but Trump is better than Harris. On the last two, you might not be able to see them at the bottom of the screen, but on Fit 21, Harris is better than Biden, but Trump is better than Harris. And on stablecoin legislation, Harris and Biden are the same, and Harris and Trump are potentially the same as well. So that is an understanding of where the different, where the political lines lie. Now, there was some pushback to this from one of the Rocket Pool community members where this was shared. And here Val says the IRS thing for Kamala is about being rich, not about crypto, barring a few words. The Trump one is similarly about the IRS in general, but ineffectual, not about crypto. And then Val goes on to say there's a hell of a lot more increased ratings based on Trump's meeting with Bitcoiners like twice. And then for now, this is still unproven hopium. So there's this element, that politicians in campaign season make all sorts of promises, but you don't know what is going to end up being real or not real. However, it looks like Trump's promises on crypto are better than Harris's promises on crypto, and that's kind of where we stand right now. However, since then, there's been a little bit more information coming out from the Harris side. So I'm going to let DC Investor explain it here. He says, basically, what Kamala Harris said is, I will protect crypto investments so black men who make them know they are safe. And DC Investor says what she should have said is, I will protect your ability to buy and self-custody crypto assets without limitation, and I will eliminate the regulatory overreach which is stifling this new financial industry and the US's position in it, and I'll start by firing Gary Gensler. And then DC Investor says, for weeks, people have asked her to articulate real policy behind crypto, and instead we get a pathetic last-minute attempt to pander to one group of voters based on their gender and race with zero substance behind it. And he finishes off saying this opinion by saying this campaign cannot be helped. And Adam Cochran here, who's kind of pro-Democrat, says, I read this very differently. People think this is her crypto policy, but it's not. It's a collection of policies she thinks are important to help support the economic success of a marginalized group. She knows black communities have historically been banking deserts and have paid the highest fees in the US for access to financial products, and that's led to a lot of uptake in black communities about crypto because of the messaging around self-control of the wallet. She's not saying I'm only protecting black investors. She's saying one of the ways I'm going to help black investors is by protecting crypto because that financial security is important. And DC Investor says, how is she proposing to protect crypto? By regulating the shit out of it, or by deregulating it? Zero substance, zero clarity. And then Adam says, I mean, you know as well as anyone that not all regulation is the same. You can make a regulation that expressly says user-operated wallets are legal, validators are not money transmitters, and this isn't under SEC jurisdiction. Neither candidate has put forward a detailed regulatory framework, but Harris has said she wants to protect it. She said she wants the US to lead the global market in it, and has engaged with major lobbying groups in the industry to get policy feedback proposals. He says, I've seen firsthand the feedback her team is receiving, and more importantly, that they are coming back and asking follow-up questions on that. They certainly aren't saying we're experts who have all this all figured out, but they're genuinely trying to engage and want to understand what things they can do that would be supportive to the US and its crypto industry. And that's going to be a huge shift from where we've been, and this is a good thing. And then DC Investor replies by saying, you know as well as anyone that she means that she could just say what she means, to have weeks of non-statements, and now this is not encouraging in the slightest. And Adam says she is saying what she means. She wants to do supportive things, but doesn't mean there's an ironclad out-specified policy yet, but she's engaging on that. Is rather she get it right than rush a fine point policy out the door before the election that isn't good. And that conversation I think went on, but there's no point in following it more, but you can go and do that yourselves. But that's just giving you an idea of how the political landscape is shaping up in the US. There was some unsubstantiated reports I saw yesterday that because it looks like Donald Trump is more likely, slightly, very, very slightly more likely to win the election now, the crypto markets have been responding favorably to that with the prices going up. Of course, correlation, causation, all of those things. Who knows how things are going and what the catalysts are for things. But that idea, I think that, Trump is the crypto candidate and Harris is the anti-crypto candidate. I think that sadly has become entrenched in some people's minds, rightly or wrongly. And then I think the Democrats potentially aren't doing enough to break that coupling, basically. So yeah, it's going to be an interesting 3 weeks until the election. And we might be doing a little bit more political coverage in that time, just to figure out what's going on. But on that note, I'm going to end today's episode. So thank you all for watching, listening, and being part of the Rocky Fuel community. I hope you all enjoy Constellation launch day, so you can go mint your XRETH and XRPL on the Gravita front end for that. And this is not, trading or financial advice or anything like that. But if you have some RPL that, you bought higher and want to tax loss harvest, then depending on what tax jurisdiction you're in, converting it from RPL to XRPL might be a taxable event and you don't lose anything in that process, basically. So yeah, maybe something to think about. Anyway, I'll see you all tomorrow. Bye.